Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Great. I am Seval Öz, and first of all, I wanted to thank Amit for that incredible presentation, just to give you a flavor of some of the more sort of fringe things we're doing, but are coming mainstream using all of the great technology that we're creating. I don't know how many of you know about Google X. Can I see a show of hands? People have heard about us? Great. You don't count. He works here. OK, so not that many people. Great. Google X is basically a moonshot innovation group at Google, which is home to what I like to think many deliriously talented people who have the right and privilege to be able to work together to create transformational technology to help the world. And I know that's saying a mouthful, but I'm going to kind of tone it down a little bit and tell you about one project that I'm very excited about. It's a project I'm working on, and I really love it. So hopefully I can share it with you, and we can move along here. This is how I get to meetings on most days in Mountain View. I don't know if any of you have experienced Mountain View. It is California, South Bay, about 45 minutes south of San Francisco. It's where Google has their global headquarters. This particular bike created at Google requires a lot of balance and a lot of humility, because it is not easy to lug things around and balance yourself while you're trying to hold on to a powered wheel. So my more preferred mode of operation, transportation, is this, which is frequently just sitting in the back of a car, plugged in my iPhone or my Android, and working away. OK, we have agnostic views in technology, so let's just tone it down. Let's digress for a moment, and I just want to tell you just a fraction of a second about myself, because I think it's valuable to have that inference. I was born in the United States of Turkish parents. My mom is actually in the audience right here, and who migrated to the United States because my dad wanted to be a doctor. And he became a doctor. I went to school in the States. I went to Wellesley College, liberal arts school, MIT, to do my, not engineering, but economics degree. I basically was a smart kid that ended up going into business on Wall Street and whatnot. But nothing I did prepared me for a career in launching the first self-driving car in the world. I mean, I had no domain expertise. I did not study mechanical engineering or electrical engineering. So why would someone like me, with my background, want to pursue this type of a career? Because we all kind of like to stick to our knitting, and we all feel comfortable in the domain that we have sort of grown up in. But at some point, you ask yourself, what can I do that really challenges me and challenges the way I think so I can leave a legacy? So lo and behold, the reason why I joined this group is the people. And it's always really, if you think about it, why we make decisions in life. We don't make decisions in life radically. We usually make them because we have an intuition based on the amalgamation of information we've had growing up, our education, our parents, our culture, our friends. The Google X group is comprised of two types of people. One, inventors. Often academics who leave industry or who leave their area of interest and really want to move into execution, and entrepreneurs. So that's kind of where I fit in, because I had a background in wanting to always start new things, create new things, sort of test the boundaries where people normally just sort of classic modern tradition. I hated Wall Street. I did it, but I felt at the end of the day, we all have to sort of find a way in our life where we can take things we've learned and implement them in environments where we feel we can make a difference. So lo and behold, Google X is led by, I don't know if there's a pointer on here. Is there a pointer on here? Great. Sergey Brin, who's wearing one of our projects called Glass. It's an augmented reality. It's like the next generation of computers that sits on your eyes, and you can kind of blink, and it will communicate via email. You can maybe do something else and hold a position, and it will take a picture. It can take a video. It basically says most of us don't want to live lives of interruption. We want to be able to see something immediately, take a snapshot of it or a video of it, and share it. That's kind of the reality of the way we live. This is Sergey and Larry and Eric Schmidt. Bobek, who runs Project Glass. This is Sebastian Thrun, who came from Stanford AI and runs the self-driving project group. This is Astro Teller and Chris Urmson, who runs our project. So this is our team, and I'll come back to them in a bit. What is our mission, and why is Google making a self-driving car? Probably the most documented question I get asked anywhere I go when I travel. Well, I'm not going to say it's because we can, But I will tell you a little bit about what some people think we're doing. And I think this will work if I just click.
Hands-free driving. Cars that park themselves. An unmanned car driven by a search engine company. We've seen that movie. It ends with robots harvesting our bodies for energy. This is the all-new 2011 Dodge Charger, leader of the human resistance.
This is an advertisement that we captured on tape because we thought it was really funny. Shortly thereafter, they took it down. But no, we're not harvesting people's brains. We're not trying to find a way to optimize search engine results. But it does bring us to our mission statement, which is improving people's lives by transforming mobility. We have an aging population. We have people who are developing handicaps, vision problems. We have people who now have restricted driver's license. You all know the aging population diagram that's moved now from a triangle to a square, which basically means a third of our population is going to be over the age of 60 in 2020. And that's a bit daunting for someone like me, because I feel that driving, or at least mobility, is one of the things we have a privilege to and a right to as every citizen in any country. So this is a little bit about what we're worried about in the United States. And this is actually a picture we took, one of our team members took when he was driving on 101 to work. A guy's trying to learn how to play the trumpet when he's driving to work. So basically, driving is becoming the distraction of what we really want to do when we're in the car. So this is the impact of the growth. And you can see that in any other country or world time, this type of casualties caused by deaths on roads would really be some sort of an epidemic. Because in 2030, we're looking at the 5th leading cause of death if we don't do anything about solving this problem of the distracted driver. So I don't know if you can read this very well. This is basically just some issues that highlight the global problem occurring here. You have Autobahn's 300 million euros lost last year to traffic, just traffic problems. China, we had a 10-day-long traffic jam in China, in Beijing. And then we have Brazil, we had a 182-mile traffic jam. These are all documented experiences people are getting on the car. So Americans spend 340 hours a year commuting. That's roughly 1 hour per day for every American family. And that's a lot of what we call wasted time that could be productive. Google has these Wi-Fi buses that I've actually started taking too. 90% of the Google employees who live in San Francisco take the Wi-Fi buses to Mountain View for an hour each way. Do you know why? Because the buses are Wi-Fi, and you can work on the bus. So when you get home or you get to work, you have actually 2 hours that you've recouped when you're not sitting there in traffic, that somebody else is driving for you, and you can actually be connected and do your work. So why is this a hard problem? In order for this actually to have an impact, I mean, we have to solve other issues other than engineering issues. And perhaps one of the reasons why they brought me on the team was because even though I don't have an engineering background, I have quite a lot of experience in these areas. So one of the things we're working on now is why and how can Google use all of the capabilities it has as a software engine and build on a platform of creating the next transportation mobility service in the world. How have we been doing so far? Because it's basically been a year since I joined this project, but I want to give you a little bit of background of the history. In 2004, the US government, the same organization that started the internet, which was originally started as the ARPANET, called DARPA, which is the Department of Defense Advanced Research Projects, gave $1 million to any educational institution to create an unmanned drone vehicle in the desert. They were having too many casualties of driving in the desert during the Iraqi war, so this is what they did. The first challenge, basically 7.5 miles. That was it. The second challenge that came out of this was in 2005. They went for 132 miles. So you can see already the incentive of sort of government funding and the ability for us to sort of start to move in an innovative way. The DARPA Urban Challenge combined sort of a synthesized urban environment for these drones to go. So there's now obstacles and people and different types of things that are coming into the property of a car. Google acquired Street View, which is the same technology that Amit was talking about earlier in his presentation. And then we acquired the team in 2009. And since 2009, we've been busily, secretly working away, but lo and behold, in 2010, the New York Times gets a wind of this and basically writes the first article which introduces the self-driving project to the world. So it hasn't been a very long time since we've been working, and really since 2009 is when Google started this project. Let me show you a little bit about what the cars do. Oops, did I miss that one? Let's go back and see if we can go back. Does this go back? Do we have the technology? There we go. Is this cached? It looks like it's not. Hold on, let me see if I can manually work this. Sorry, guys. Let's see here. So we're right now in vehicles on public roads in Mountain View, which is around the Google campus, and this is actually the Google campus. I'm not sure why this is not playing. Let's see, maybe we have to just make this up.
We're still cruising right now.
That's a spinning laser at the top of the car that gives about a 360 view of every object, whether it's stationary and non-stationary, around the vehicle.
Okay, we're still cruising.
Okay, let's take a look at another. Oops.
We're still cruising right now.
All right, that's the same one, right?
Yes.
Okay, hold on, here's another one. This is Lombard Street, the very, very windy street in San Francisco, which you would probably not want to do on your own, but this is an unmanned vehicle driving down that Lombard Street. There are crazy pedestrians out there, which walk even more crazy than cars do, but we're managing, it looks like, here pretty well. All right, let's see where else we're moving. Here's, oops, there's Lombard Street again. This is Carmel-by-the-sea, which if you all are familiar with, it's a little seaside resort. Again, pedestrians, windy roads. These streets are mapped out through Google Maps and then manually driven, and information is collected through different types of lasers, sensors, hardware, differential GPS that belongs on the car. And we're iterating pretty quickly on this, so it's really exciting to see. I'm going to now forward. This could be a given merge in Istanbul, Turkey. So it's a little crazy, but this is a car merging on, a zipper merge into one of the highways in the United States, but I picked it because I thought it looked a little bit like Istanbul. So there you can see, we have driven now over 300,000 miles, which is roughly about 30 years of driving. So let me tell you a little bit about our technology that's on the car. We have a camera, we have a laser that sees 360, we have a GPS, which is really a differential GPS, because GPS gives you your location roughly within about 10 yards, whereas a differential GPS brings it down to like probably 2 inches. So it tells you more carefully where the car is with respect to the road. We've got our computer systems in the back, our wheel encoder, which we created new systems for, so that no longer exists. And here's the drive-by-wire system, which actuates the car, and the radars right here, which give you the long-range view, which can activate speed. So what the car sees, the perception of the car, is critical to understanding how the car drives. So this is what the car sees. It sees other cars, and it differentiates between fast-moving and slow-moving, stationary and different obstacles. It sees the roads. It sees where it is in the road, so it knows roughly where it is from the different sides or edges on the road. Then it sees, and this is the LiDAR spitting top on top, seeing basically the perception range of things moving in and outside. You can see here it's waiting. It sees obviously there's a stop light here. Car passes, and it should get going at some point. Maybe it's just because it's a red stoplight. But anyway, so you can see what's really freaky here is that the car is not distracted. I mean, you and I would be texting, we'd be on the phone, we'd be trying to negotiate, we're having dinner in a couple of minutes. This car sees everything around it. One of our challenges is user behavior, so that now that you're no longer tethered to the steering wheel, what can you do in the car? And that's something that I think is a really interesting part of this analysis. So we're doing the human factor analysis, which is the simulations, fixed driving simulators. We have dynamic simulators. We're now working with a Lexus, where we sort of are simulating how the Lexus moves on different rocky roads, surface streets, highways. The acceptance part is really critical. This was my first experience with a self-driving car, and I thought you guys might relate to that, because most people don't really understand what a self-driving car does, and instead they look at entertainment Hollywood to try and rationalize what this means to the average human being. So in this case, we have a slightly different approach to what the normal to see we have at work is. But it's not too different from this, very robotic. The policy side of what we're doing is, and I'm really, really, really proud of our team, because when we started a year ago, we didn't have any licenses or any regulatory environment to operate in. We had Nevada, a driver's license-based DMV man with a lot of curmudgeon and a feisty background said, you know what, I'm going to put a stake in the ground and be the first DMV in America to approve licensing of this technology in my state, the state of Nevada, which you all know well houses our most famous casinos, Las Vegas. So Nevada was approved. After Nevada, Florida. Florida has our largest elderly population in America. So perhaps that was another incentive. And then most recently, about 2 weeks before I came, we had Sergey Brin, who's our co-founder, Governor Brown, Jerry Brown of California, Senator Padilla, who wrote the law, and our team. We had the actual signing of the bill, SB 1825, which ratified self-driving capability in the state of California. So that's huge. Now, the reason I'm saying this to you and moving through this rather quickly is because we're talking about 1 year. 1 year where we were able to manifest a technology approval in the United States of America using technology that had been around less than 10 years. So if you all think about your lives and what you do and how meaningful it is, I think just digress for a second and think about execution, basically living out or executing your dreams. Because I think that's what it's all about. I actually saw an advertisement by a famous constructor here. I think their last name is Aolo. And it took me a second to understand it because it wasn't very Turkish to me, but it seemed to sort of allude to what we were thinking about. Hayallerini şey yapmak, what's the word? Gerçekleştirmek. Hayallerinizi gerçekleştirebilmek çok mühim olduğunu ve it's a new generational philosophy. And here was and he wasn't an elderly gentleman, but he was a middle-aged gentleman making this comment. And I thought, wow, Turkey is no different from America, no different from anywhere else in the world. And so there's our team of about 100 people that's really changing the world as we see it. Let me see what else I have here for you. This is a video. Let me explain this because this is a pretty important event for us. When I first joined the film, they didn't know where, when I first joined the company or this project, they really didn't know where to put me because, as I said, I didn't have an ME or EE training. So they thought, you know what, why don't we just ask her to make a film? So the co-founder, Sergey Brin, came to me and said, can you make a film that showcases what the technology does? So I went online, of course, and I started researching, and I saw all these wonderful little films and advertisements about incredible car technology. Zoom, 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 zoom. And I said, none of this really depicts what I want it to mean, which is how we're going to change humanity with this technology. So instead, what I did was I hired a guy from NASA as a director, and I went down and found a very unique person who runs and I'm not going to tell you too much about it because I think you'll find it interesting. He runs a small company, but he had such difficulty getting to work every day that I felt this man has a real story that a lot of us can relate to. So I'm going to see if we can get this up and running here. It's only 2 or 3 minutes.
Good morning, Steve. Hey, Nathaniel, how are you? Doing just great. Go ahead, Steve.
Auto driving.
Here we go. Away we go. Look, Ma, no hands.
No hands anywhere.
No hands, no feet.
No hands, no feet, no nothing.
I love it.
So we're here at the stop sign. Yep. Car's using radars and laser to check and make sure there's nothing coming either way. I find myself looking. Old habits die hard, man. Hey, they don't die. Hey, anybody up for a taco? Yeah. What do you want to do today, Steve? I'm all for Taco Bell myself. All right. Well, let's go get a taco at the drive-thru. And we're turning into the parking lot. How neat. Go. Now we kind of creep along here. Does anybody have any money? I've got money. No, I've got my wallet right here. If you roll down your window and order a burrito, get pushed out. Doing very well. How are you today? This is some of the best driving I've ever done.
95% of my vision is gone. I'm well past legally blind. You lose your timing in life, everything takes you much longer. There are some places that you cannot go, there are some things that you really cannot do. Where this would change my life is to give me the independence and the flexibility to go the places I both want to go and need to go when I need to do those things.
So I guess, ben bu videoyu yaparken çok etkilendim. Çünkü bu YouTube'da görüldü ve 4 milyondan fazla kişi gördü bunu ilk ay içinde. Ve bunlara çok büyük bir inspiration yarattı. Steve Mahan is basically 95% blind. He lost his vision through macular degeneration. He was a design engineer. He was graphical. He had, different artistic capabilities. He now travels 2.5 hours each day using 3 different forms of transportation: bus, paratransit, and another bus. Or he relies on friends and family. And it's so difficult to see this and to see how we can marginalize our human population by taking away their productivity. So my conclusion to you all is make a difference. Technology is really about transforming humanity in the way ordinary people live. So if you think about technology as a way in which you can encapsulate everything you've learned in all your life, I think you'd really find it a wonderful experience. And I think Google's an incredible company, the talented people, the resources they give you, the way that you're taken care of, and you're allowed to really breathe and challenge yourself to pass goals which you will end up failing from time to time, but it's okay. Thank you.